Hello and welcome back to Beneath the Silence, Healing the Wounds of Betrayal Trauma. A warm welcome to all those who have watched or listened to my podcast in the past, as well as to those who may be new to my podcast. I'm Sandy Joy. I'm your host for today, and this is a space for understanding, for validation, and for hope. I want to remind everyone that I don't edit my podcasts. I want them to be raw, real, authentic, and vulnerable. And you will notice that I may, look at my notes or um, I may actually, um, mess up on a pronunciation of a word or phrase or whatever the case may be. Today's podcast is about reclaiming your identity after betrayal trauma because we tend to question who we are. So when betrayal rips through your life, it can feel like your sense of self shatters too. Who am I now? Who was I before? And who do I want to become? In this episode, we'll explore how to rediscover and even reinvent yourself after betrayal trauma. And yes, today we're talking about something that many people often feel but don't have words for, and that is a loss of self. Because betrayal trauma doesn't just break that or break trust, it disrupts your sense of who you are, what you believe, your reality, and of course, in how you understand your reality. And many survivors have said and continue to say, I don't recognize myself anymore. Who is this person? And if that's you, I want you to know you're not lost. You're not alone in those beliefs. And although you may very well feel this way, feel lost and alone, you're responding to something that is that has deeply impacted your identity. And that's why we're going to explore how betrayal trauma affects our identity, the differences between your before and your after self, and how to begin reclaiming who you are, and the role of self-compassion and self-respect in that process. A gentle reminder to go at your own pace, pause if you need to, do what you need to do for yourself, as that is important because you are important. So, how does betrayal trauma affect identity? It challenges our core beliefs. When we experience betrayal trauma, it attacks our core beliefs. Beliefs like, I am safe, because now we go, heck no, or F no. Okay. I can trust my reality. Now we go, what is true? What is real? What was real? Okay. I know who I am in this relationship because we used to have those feelings and beliefs. And now we go, who am I? Who am I in this relationship, regardless of what kind of relationship that is? Okay. And according to Dr. Jennifer Fried, betrayal trauma disrupts not just memory and awareness, but also meaning making. Okay. That's why we often internalize, because we're trying to make sense. We're trying to make meaning of something that really isn't something we can do. And when meaning is disrupted, identity is shaken to its core. There are several key identity impacts. So you may have identified as a partner or a spouse, but question what these roles mean now. You may have identified as an employee, a friend, a sibling, a daughter or son, a student, etc. And now go, who am I? What does this mean? Or actually, I'll put in there a parent. You may, a parent. You may employee, friend, sibling, daughter or son, a parent, a student, a teacher. Okay. You may have identified as a faith-based person, but now question this faith or the deity that you have worshiped and what this means, because your reality has shattered. You may have identified as a safe person because, now you don't feel safe internally or externally. You question how you can be safe, not only with yourself, but with anyone else or for anyone else. You may have identified in the past as a loyal supporter of someone who then hurt you beyond belief. And suddenly, those roles are all fractured. And then we have internalized blame, and we may begin to believe, how did I not see this? How was I so naive? What's wrong with me? But that's not truth. That is trauma attempting to create order out of chaos. This is trauma trying to be made sense of. And then we have self-abandonment. You may ignore your intuition, override your own needs, stay in unsafe dynamics, not because you're weak, but because your system is just trying to survive. And all it can do is the bare minimum. So we ignore the intuition because it can't handle it right now. That's part of betrayal trauma blindness. You override your needs for someone else's, including the betrayer, because you have to appease in order to survive, to get through this time and moment. Sometimes it's staying in unsafe dynamics. And I stayed for 10 months. But I was working on myself during that time. I knew where I was headed, but I didn't want to have the added pressure of financial obligations that were solely on my shoulders, when at that time I couldn't even work, 2 days a week I was struggling with. And again, it's not because you were weak. It's because your system was trying to survive. And some people, I stayed for 10 months. Some people stay for years because they have hope that there will be change, that their partner has said that they will be change, or their employer or whatever, that there will be change. Or there has been threats. You stay because there's been threats that if you're an athlete and hope to go to the Olympics or hope to go to the next level, even if that's not the Olympics, and you feel that you will be blacklisted, that you will be lied about, that you have to put up and shut up in order to get to that next level, and you're just trying to make it through. That's okay. That's okay. The next part of this is the loss of narrative. This is of your narrative. This is one of the most disorienting parts. The story you believed about your life is no longer the story that exists. And that can make you question, what is real? Was any of it real? Was any of it truthful? Because when you find out about so many lies and deceit is the number one wound in betrayal trauma, is the level of deceit. And now we question, was anything ever real? And we have our reality is disrupted. And as described by Besser van der Kolk, as well as Babette Rothschild, that trauma impacts us, or impacts how we process reality, not just memory. So I said that in the self-care episode. And now it's the same for this. So if you feel disoriented, that makes sense. It is normal to feel discombobulated, as though you are living in an upside down world. And, we go, how do we get right again? How do we go, you know, that we're on the right side of this, that we are standing firm, that we're no longer disoriented or discombobulated. So this is about the old self and new self, and many survivors describe a clear divide between the two. Before betrayal, you were trusting, open, grounded, secured in your identity of whatever that relationship was. And after betrayal, no longer trusting, but questioning, hypervigilance, hyper aware, guarded, right? There's unable to feel grounded. You're in that state of that hypervigilance, that it's hard to even know what to do. And even if you're in the helping field, you're not a helper at that time. If you've experienced it personally, you're the one that is questioning and in a state of hypervigilance, and all the training that we've had because I've gone through it. I felt like a hypocrite because we've gone through it, or I've gone through it. I had to do my own healing work before I could get back to seeing, many clients again. There is a huge disconnect. And we don't remember those grounding techniques. We teach them, but we don't remember them when we're in that state of hypervigilance and we don't have access to our prefrontal cortex. We're in survival mode. It's in the victimization. Okay. And we're disconnected and believe that nothing feels real any longer. And here's where this becomes painful. You may long for your old self, but the truth is, when you experience trauma, especially betrayal trauma, you cannot go back. And that is not a loss of worth. It's a transition. So we can reframe. You are not becoming less than. You are becoming someone who sees more clearly. Remember, my statement is that the more you start to acknowledge and know, the more that knowledge grows, the more you know, the more that knowing grows. That's where we start to see things more clearly and feel things more deeply. And this is also the place that we have the opportunity to begin rebuilding intentionally, because we're so good at breaking ourselves down. And we really, really are terrible at building ourselves up. But this is the opportunity to start rebuilding ourselves with intention. So how do we reclaim identity? And reclaiming identity is not about going back. We can't. It's about reconnecting and redefining self. So reconnecting with self and redefining self. This is reconnecting with your values. Ask what matters most to me now. What feels true for me now? One of the things I had to do, because when that statement of that was everything a lie, nothing was truthful, in my 34 years with my ex, was that I had to go back and go, it was true for me. I was truthful. I lived with love and loyalty. So I lived with integrity. And for that, I am proud. And so my experience and what I gave to my children and to my husband at the time was truth, was integrity, was loyalty, and was love. And that's never wrong. So it's reconnecting with those messages. It's reconnecting with passions, even small things like music, nature, creativity. These are pathways back to self. My son created um, a playlist for me of songs that were building up songs, you know. So again, this was all 10 years ago, and 9 years ago, 10 years ago, that he built like fight song. This is my fight song, take back my life song. I would sing that, not well, but sing that, you know, so loud as I'm washing dishes or as I'm, just lying in bed. I just would take these songs of hope, you know. I came in like a wrecking ball. Everything was shattered, but I grabbed my life back. It gave me hope. It brought smiles to my face. Okay, small things, music, nature. I love walking. I love hiking, being in nature, anything to do with water, a lake, a beach, even a pool, being around it, on it, in it. There is something calming for me about around water, and that's my passion. And creativity. It was developing the betrayal trauma course. It was It was eventually developing these podcasts. It's research, and it's the creativity for me is taking it to the next level or next step about, developing um, a retreat and what that might look like, having some, educational components, have some group support component in there, free time component, and everyone has control of themselves. You know, it's reframing. The next step is reframing your narrative. Instead of being self-deprecating, I was so foolish. I was so naive. I was so stupid. How could I have been so stupid? It's stopping those and go, I trusted. I loved. And that trust and love was violated. It is never wrong to love and trust. Never wrong to love and trust or be loyal. What is wrong is the actions of the person who shattered that trust and tarnished that love and were disloyal to you. And you can take the love part out of it if this is a boss or a supervisor or a camp counselor or a lawyer, a doctor, whatever the case may be. Okay. You can take that part out because there's still trust and there was loyalty of showing up for those people, to your job, etc. And what was wrong is the actions the perpetrator of the betrayal took, who shattered that trust and tarnished that loyalty. Okay. The next step is about self-expression, whatever that looks like for you. Writing, if writing is an expression for you. Art, maybe that's coloring or painting, even if it's paint by numbers. I got paint by numbers. I like it. I really do. Um, it's listening to the music. It's movement. You know, if I hear old time rock and roll, wherever I am, let's play it. It's I don't know. I don't know if I've ever heard it at a grocery store, but if it is, I'm moving my body. If I'm driving, I'm moving my body. Old time rock and roll just gets me moving. I love dancing. So part of my exercise regime for me, I don't go to the gym because that's not me. I walk. That's me. I also have to watch my body because of health issues, and there's things that I can and cannot do. But I can dance. I can do squats. And so if I'm watching something on TV, If there's commercials, I do squats during the commercials. If there is no commercials, I just pause it partway through and I do some squats. Or if I have to get up to go to the washroom or something like that, before I sit back down, I do some squats. I just do some stretches, whatever that looks like. And this is something I do for me. You don't have to do these things, okay? But it's movement. It's how do we move our body? It's expression that helps rebuild identity safely. And you will have your identity and what works for you. And it's self-exploration. It's curiosity instead of judgment. Remember that breaking self down, we want to build self up, okay? So what do I like now? What do I need now? So ask yourself those questions. And again, if you like to write, write those down and answer it by writing. If you don't like to write, talk it out, either a note with a friend or just to yourself. This is the courage to explore learning about yourself. Self-exploration is to explore learning about yourself with the goal of improving your understanding of who you are and what you need in your life. The next step is about self-awareness and self-growth. And so notice patterns without shame, okay? Being aware of patterns that may not be fostering your growth. Self-awareness is the power to identify who you are at your core, in your soul, how you impact the world, and how the world impacts you. Self-awareness incorporates your power to adjust and to take responsibility for yourself mentally, emotionally, physically. Where growth does not mean perfection. Self-growth is the ongoing development of recognizing and pursuing opportunities to discover greater knowledge, to learn what love is to you, and to what a healthy relationship is to you, and to expect nothing less. And not only survive, but thrive in your life. Think of the acronym SURF, S-U-R-F. S is survive the trauma. U is understand the impact of their actions on you. So understand the impact of the betrayal on you. R is reclaim your self-identity. And F is face the future with self-respect and self-loyalty. Okay, that's that self-awareness and self-growth. SURF. Okay. And the next step is new goals, not who you were, but who you are becoming. And we continue to learn and grow as human beings unless we're severely stuck. There's some people that stay stuck, stay in the victimhood, and continue that. Some people may call them negative Nellies, whatever the case may be. We don't have to name anybody around that. But some people do stay stuck. I believe that the majority of us, however, move through and grow, and we learn. We continue to learn and grow and change until we die. And it's developing new goals, you know, and what that looks like for us. So the next part here is about self-compassion and self-respect. And remember I said about that self-deprecating? We're going to throw that out the freaking window, okay? Because we need a foundation. Remember I said self-care is the foundation, but without self-compassion, identity rebuilding becomes self-criticism. We have to have self-compassion. And this is described by Kristen Neff. There's all kinds of things. If you just Google Kristen Neff, there's all kinds of free resources on her about self-compassion on her website. So self-compassion includes kindness towards self, recognition of shared human experience, and mindful awareness. That means when I say many people think mindfulness is the meditation. No, it's not. Mindfulness, it can be a part of it. Mindfulness is in the here and now, is being cognitively aware and emotionally aware of where we are in this place in the here and now. Okay. So self-compassion is how we treat ourselves. including how we talk about ourselves. Okay. This is about being kind to self as we would to those we love or those we care about. And self-respect says, my needs matter, my boundaries matter, and my voice matters. So self-respect is the ability and power to advocate for yourself and for what you need. It is empowering to do so and to do so without guilt. Okay. I'm going to get into boundaries more. I believe next, I'm just looking at my notes here just to make sure it is next. Yes, the next episode will be about boundaries and what they are. Okay. So, truth. We don't rebuild identity by forcing yourself. You rebuild it by being in a relationship with yourself differently. And then remember, I said last episode that the most important relationship you will ever have with yourself is the one, or you'll ever have is the one with yourself. You are with yourself 24/7. There's no escaping you. Because even in your sleep, you may be dreaming. They're yours. Okay. It is imperative that you learn to trust yourself and respect yourself unequivocally, without question. Trusting those gut instincts. That also will be a future podcast. Okay. If you feel like you've lost yourself, you haven't. If you've been impacted by betrayal trauma, you will know that there is a difference. Rather than losing yourself, that it's developing a new you. You are allowed to rediscover, redefine, and reclaim you. You are allowed to become someone new. And you don't have to do that alone. I'm here for you. Betrayal trauma disrupts identity through loss of roles, narrative, and trust in self. So these are the 3 takeaways. You cannot return to your old self, but you can rebuild with intention. Self-compassion, self-respect are essential for reclaiming identity safely. So I want to thank you for joining me today on Beneath the Silence, Healing the Wounds of Betrayal Trauma. And remember that healing is possible, even from the deepest, darkest wounds. If this episode resonated with you, please let me know. Leave a comment or send me an email, sandy@sandrajoy.ca. And if you have any suggestions for future podcasts, please send me an email or leave it in the comments. If you're able, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like and share the podcast so others may learn and find community. And remember, it builds the algorithm. Okay. Join me next week as I discuss redeveloping boundaries after betrayal and what that might look like. This conversation matters and is very important. You matter and you are very important. Until next time, take gentle care of yourself and remember, as always, I see you, I hear you, and I believe you. Until we meet again. Thank you.